It's been about 2 years since I did a video on Nuzlocke, and there's a reason for this. I'm really bad at Nuzlocke. I just don't have the patience you need in order for my Pokemon not to faint, which is super duper important. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Nuzlocke, it's basically a standard challenge run, but you're going to use a full team instead of just one Pokemon, no items, standard stuff. But the two big rules is that you can only catch the very first Pokemon you find on a route, and if a Pokemon faints, you have to release it or deposit it into a faint box. Finally, in a hardcore Nuzlocke, you also can't exceed the level of the next gym leader's highest level Pokemon. As you can see, I'm in Pokemon Crystal, and if you remember all those years ago, I did this challenge with normal Pokemon, and it took me like 12, 13 different attempts, and about a week and a half. Flygon HG or Pichal, I am not. But in today's video, I'm going to explain how someone extremely aggressive and not at all patient was able to, in just 2 days, beat Pokemon Crystal with just poison Pokemon. Now, when you think of overpowered Pokemon types in the early games, poison may be one of the last ones that comes to your mind, but I'm going to make the case it's a little bit better than you think. One of the big things that poison doesn't have going for it is its offense. It only hits one type for super effective damage, grass, and in Pokemon Crystal, that's not really all that relevant. Meanwhile, poison, ground, and rock are all really commonly found within Gen 2, and there is a ghost gym full of ghost poison Pokemon. So on the surface, it looks like we're gonna have a really hard time. That said, there are a couple things that really make poison a little bit better than you think. One is defense. Poison only suffers from 2 weaknesses: Psychic, which is a problem because there is an Elite Four Psychic member, and Ground, of which there are many Pokemon, but there is no Ground Gym or Elite Four member. That's very fortuitous. The biggest advantage of Poison type, however, and if you watched my Fire type video, I talked about the reverse of this, there are lots and lots of Poison Pokemon, and a lot of these Poison Pokemon have good secondary typings. So even if mono Poison Pokemon might not be the best, having a lot of poisons, including ones of various types, made this challenge easier than you think, and I'm going to go through how I was able to, within just a couple of days, as someone who's terrible at Nuzlocking, beat this entire game, and yeah, that includes Red. The first thing we're going to need to do is catch a poison Pokemon to start our team, and that's going to be Weedle. Weedle's unfortunate because Faulkner's highest level Pokemon, Pidgeotto, is level 9, meaning we're not going to be able to utilize Beedrill, which wouldn't be great for Falkner, but still it'd be a fully evolved Pokemon. With that said, Weedle is an accessible early bug Pokemon and one that I really don't mind fainting later down the line, and this is important. Having Pokemon you don't mind taking a hit and fainting because you don't really need them can really help you out in a Nuzlocke. So that was my encounter for Route 30. On Route 36, just west of Violet City, in Crystal only, there's grass over here, and if you go during not the nighttime, the only poison encounter possible is Bellsprout. This is something that is really important to do during a monotype Nuzlocke, going at certain times on certain routes in a certain order to guarantee you get the Pokemon you want when you want them. We can then go to Sprout Tower, and there's only one poison type available, and that's Ghastly. Now, it sucks that we're not going to be able to evolve this into Gengar, but Ghastly's ghost typing should be really good, especially in the early game where there's tons of normal type moves. When you can get a Ghastly in a challenge run, get a Ghastly. I should mention Ghastly only appears at nighttime, but there is a way to change the Clock and Crystal version. It just requires the use of a password, which is annoying, but not a problem. But wait, there are more poison Pokemon we can get, and this is why it was important to go to Route 36 first. We get a Bellsprout, but according to Nuzlocke rules, one I didn't mention yet, we're not allowed to use repeat Pokemon. So, I can skip this Bellsprout because it's not a valid encounter and get Spinarak. Now the truth is, I actually messed up here because I also want a Zubat, which is the only encounter available in Dark Cave, and there was in fact a 5% chance I would have gotten Zubat as my encounter on Route 31, which would have been inefficient, because having 5 Pokemon for Falkner, I mean, let's be real, none of these Pokemon are especially strong or good against Falkner. It's going to be helpful. Speaking of Falkner, I was playing with Speed Up, and yet it still took me 41 minutes to get to him, because I need to get everything to level 9. So we're going to do something very irritating, but it's very effective against the first Pidgey. Pidgey only has 2 moves, Mud Slap and Tackle. I've done this before, but if you're new, welcome to the annoying strat. Basically, Mud Slap doesn't affect Zubat, Tackle doesn't affect Ghastly. Another reason you want to use Ghastly. We're just going to swap back and forth until Mud Slap runs out, in which case Ghastly just gets to freely knock out Pidgey. Slowing back down, unfortunately, I wasn't actually able to do that because I over-leveled some Pokemon and cannot hit level 10 during this battle. So I'm going to use Bellsprout with Struggle, kind of a cool strat, in order to weaken. And now I have to decide whether I want to chance it or not. I decide to go back into Ghastly, the safe play. Pidgey can't do anything, put it to sleep, and then I'm going to go for Zubat. This is to use the last Supersonic, so now Zubat has the ability to struggle, which will be useful against Pidgeotto. And then I mess up. I do want to use Spinarak against Pidgeotto, but in fact, I need Ghastly to come out. And so I have to do a really ill-informed swap here, trying to get Hypnosis off, and it doesn't work. I then go for a do or die Hypnosis. Man, would that have been terrible if that would have missed. But the strategy here is to use Spinarak to lower the accuracy and lower the speed of Pidgeotto, and then just use whatever I can to knock it out, including Kakuna. All my Pokemon have berries, and the idea is to use Harden, but I'd rather not lose anything, so I'm going to swap into Zubat, one of my quote-unquote bulkier Pokemon. I mean, this is the problem when most of the poison types in the early game are weak to flying as well, but Zubat does knock out the Pidgeotto, so even with a mistake, I was able to clutch this win. In Nuzlocke, by the way, I still don't like using Double Team, but I have no qualms using accuracy-lowering moves. Everything is do or die, so it's not as if I can just reset and try over and over again. So it doesn't really feel like I'm exploiting RNG to the same degree when there's this level of risk involved. However, speaking of risk, sometimes you can make mistakes, and sometimes things can crit, and you can be in a position where you're going to lose a Pokemon. And I had to make a decision which one I wanted to lose to this Goldeen, and I opted for Spinarak, which really sucked. And then I almost lost Ghastly, which would have been a reset. That was a 40% chance of me losing Ghastly. So it's really, really important not to make mistakes and not to take the standard battles any less lightly than the major battles. But since I don't really need Spinarak, it does suck to lose it early because I can't use it later on to tank an attack. But it's not a horrific loss by any means. It's also going to get replaced pretty soon with something really useful. Now, while it is possible to get an Ekans in the grass on Route 32, we can get Ekans plenty of other places, and this Pokemon is really useful, well, in the context of where we are in the game. Unfortunately, we have to go all the way back to New Bark Town, walking, and then talk to our Mama Bunch. If the only trainer we have registered is Fisher Ralph, eventually, if we just keep switching from Daylight Savings Time to no Daylight Savings Time, he will tell us there is a swarm of Quillfish, and while you're most likely to get a Magikarp, that's not Poison type, so we can guarantee ourselves a good Quillfish. I mean, well, it's a Quillfish, a decent Quillfish. And then we get our 6th and final Pokemon, for now, on Route 33, exiting Union Cave, we can get in the grass, an Ekans. So we have a full team, and a team that actually should deal with Bugsy pretty well. Once again, there's a ton of tedious grinding if you don't hack in rare candies, which I didn't. And we can use Zubat to go for Bite. Honestly, this is just to spread experience points around, no other real reason. You'll see I didn't even level everything up to level 16. And then for Kakuna, to spread things out more, I can just go into Zubat. I also want to avoid Ghastly getting damaged too much because it could be a very important Pokemon, being able to put Scyther to sleep. If it's asleep, not only can Fury Cutter not stack, but it won't attack me, and look at this kind of fun and very cheap strategy. I'm going to keep going for Spite and trying to get rid of all of Fury Cutter's power points. I realize that there's still a little bit left, but once I've eliminated all of Fury Cutter's power points, there is actually no way it can damage Ghastly anymore. I simply switched to Zubat because I'm bored. I mean, you could see how long Lick would take to knock it out. And so we gotta speed things up here, but slowly but surely, Scyther will faint, and we have another victory. But like, let's be real, how many times have I used Flash and Spite in a competitive sense? That's not bad. Rival 2 is definitely the scarier of the major battles here. I do have Zubat with Bite, and thankfully Ghastly doesn't put my Zubat to sleep. The level cap, by the way, is now level 20, which is pretty good. I then use Swift, 4 hits, knocks out Zubat number 2, and then I try to confuse Bayleaf. You may have noticed I selected Totodile as the starter so that the rival would be stuck with Bayleaf. This is a Nuzlocke, not a normal J-Rose challenge run. I'm going to make the rival as weak as possible. Because we can't celebrate first try victories, we have to get first try victories. Now that we've defeated Rival 2, there's a lot of game and Pokemon that are open to us. And so rather than do what I've been doing where I go over every Pokemon we've caught, why don't we pick it back up when I battle Whitney and see what the team looks like now. So I've been playing for an hour, and you'll see Bellsprout is still leading, but it's at level 20 now, so it has Sleep Powder. But now it's time to switch in not just one of the best poison Pokemon, but one of the best Pokemon in Gen 2, well, at least eventually, Nidorina. Now, I'll talk about in a second why not Nidorino. There's a cool answer for that. First, Nidorina has to knock out Clefairy, and I wish it would have stayed asleep. Now we're going to do something I've done before, try to Mud Slap and then Growl. Kinda cheesy? You betcha, but to deal with Miltank, you kinda have to. And now that we've done all that, we can go into Ghastly, avoid the Stomp via immunity, and then try to put it to sleep. Miltank does hit us a couple times, but then I go for the Curse. Had it woken up, I would have been furious. And now I can go Quillfish is fairly bulky, and I'm going to use Headbutt. Thankfully, you can just buy infinite Headbutts at the Pokemart, so it's a pretty good move to use, and this Miltank really just does not want to faint. It keeps drinking the milk, but eventually, with 0 losses, thanks to Nidorina, I'm able to beat Whitney. Now, you might say, well, J-Rose, would Nidorino not have been better, or did you want the bulk? Unfortunately, I mean, maybe that's true, but no, I probably would have preferred Nidorino. I will get one eventually, but the unfortunate truth is that in Crystal version, which I've been playing, encounters are different, and so the only place thus far you can get either Nidorino or Nidorina is in the National Park, and nowhere in the surrounding areas, unlike in Gold and Silver, can you catch them. So whichever one I encountered first was the one I had to use, and in this run it happened to be Nidoran Female and thus Nidorina. But don't you worry, we will be seeing Nidorino, Nidoking, and Nidoqueen if I have anything to say about it. And if you're wondering when's that going to be, well, turns out I was doing this live on Twitch and I learned something new. Remember how we got Quillfish to appear via swarming? We can do that for Yanma. And if we do that, the encounter table changes on Route 35. So I actually could have had a Nidoran male for Whitney. I didn't actually know that. And so, good to know for next time. We have a pretty solid team. I mean, Beedrill's kind of not useful. It's why it's only level 12. But you can see everything is at level 20. Now the level cap is 25. But it just goes to show you I've not just been using everything, but I've also been fairly cautious after losing Spinarak super early. I've been doing a bunch of cool things, and look at that, we have a Victory Bell now. Pretty cool stuff. Oh, Curse and Mean Look. That could be a problem. Oh, I just wanted to level it up. No, come on. No, Victory Bell. No! So, the way I got Victory Bell was by the same process we've used to get the swarms. Having one person registered, going to mom, and eventually getting them to give me an item, in this case a Leaf Stone. But yeah, Victory Bell I evolved super early, trying to get a pretty cool Pokemon quicker than I should, even though that might have hurt it long term. So it's not the biggest loss, but it would have been a good Pokemon to have, but now it has to get released. Second Pokemon to faint. But Victory Bell isn't the only fully evolved Pokemon I've gotten. Meet Crobat. Because it evolves via friendship, we can just kind of give it a million massages by changing the clock. And yeah, Crobat. I mean, in theory, you could just run around. I've also gotten the Mint Berry from Moo Moo Farm. Unfortunately, Crobat does level up to level 26 in the middle of the fight, so I do have to immediately stop using it. It is typical in a Nuzlocke that you are allowed to level up, and many people will still keep using the Pokemon as long as it starts. I have made the decision that I'll allow it to level up, even though I prefer it not to, but I have to switch out immediately. Don't worry, I got Quillfish with Surf, because I've been playing for over an hour. I battled almost every trainer I can to this point. I've done all the things I need to do, and I still lost Victory Bell due to Mean Look and Curse. That was so dumb. I should say though, there are lots of other Pokemon I could withdraw. Venonat, Coughing. I mean, in the water, we're going to be able to get Tentacool, so there are lots of options. It really is, what am I going to need now? And don't forget, once we get to Kanto, the level cap shrinks. It's kind of a unique quirk of Generation 2, so I do need to make sure I have something ready for Kanto. The level cap for Morty is level 30, and Crobat should take care of it pretty well, but, you know, I gotta battle some trainers, level up my Pokemon, should be fine. I mean, this Marowak's almost fainted, we're doing well, and then another Marowak. Quillfish should be fine, I mean, it's fairly bulky. It has Surf. Headbutt, that's more than fine. I go for Surf. I mean, that reaction you just saw from me says it all. This is an argument for hacking in rare candies because in reality, I just lost to something kind of unlucky. And if I could just level up everything to level 30, I'd never battle this trainer anyway. For me, it's kind of why I don't like hacking them in because just part of the game. But yeah, if you're doing this all the time, day in, day out, this would just be the worst. This probably will hurt me more for Kanto since I was going to replace Quillfish with Tentacool/Tentacruel, but yeah, I liked Quillfish. Sad we didn't get to use it more. Now that I've gotten almost everything to level 30, we can go and fight Chuck. Primeape can't actually do anything to Haunter, so I can put it to sleep. And then I can swap in Crobat. Once again, Crobat's going to be pretty useful. Just go for Wing Attack, base 60 power. Nice, easy KO. And then Poliwrath will be a 2-shot. Probably would have preferred Surf to Hypnosis, but it missed, so that's alright. To this point, I want to point out we have not lost a single Pokemon to a major battle. It has really been 3 kind of misplays in random trainer battles, which really sucks and is part of what makes Nuzlocke so grueling. At the same time, I do have good strategies for the important battles, so that's nice. Now, in a Nuzlocke, Price typically comes next because his highest level Pokemon is 31, so barely a level cap increase. I lead with Tentacruel just simply because what is Seal going to do to Tentacruel? And I can just use Acid. I'll keep Tentacruel in for Dugong until I decide to swap in Haunter, try to put it to sleep. And when that fails, it's actually kind of bad because now all my Pokemon are weak to Ice. It goes for Aurora Beam, and I have to kind of go for some pretty fluky Confuse Ray strats. At this point, I swap back in Tentacruel because what the heck else am I going to do? And I just try going for Acid. The plan's falling apart here. Nidoqueen does have Double Kick, and I get a crit. So that's pretty good. We can get a Moonstone at this point. That's how we have a Nidoqueen. And you can see we also have Nidoking, but I didn't level it up in time, which I should have done. Now, Piloswine does have Blizzard, and as bulky as Nidoqueen is, I think it would knock it out. So I really have to decide what I want to do here if I want to sacrifice a Pokemon. We have the level 16 Coughing. I might be able to sacrifice that, but I'm going to try to play it risky. I went into Tentacruel, tanked the Blizzard, and now, in theory, Surf could knock it out. I don't do damage calculations during these runs, so I actually have no idea. That's why I'm waiting so long. In the end, I decide there's really no other better option, and I go for Surf, and booyah! It was a one-shot. You can see, that's why I don't do damage calcs. The genuine surprise is worth it, but yeah, that was the first gym leader where everything went awry. We didn't lose anything, but maybe I should have sacrificed the Coughing there just in case. Oh well, we still have all our important Pokemon, and now we have probably one of the most annoying gym leaders to fight, Jasmine, at least for poison types. We don't have great matchups versus her Pokemon, and since the level cap is 35 and there really aren't any more important trainers to battle, it's just going to be a bunch of tedious grinding. Yay! 1 hour later. Okay, it was half an hour, but still, it just takes forever. Nidoking is the lead. Double Kick one-shots, pretty good. Steelix, now we're going to swap into Tentacruel. It doesn't actually have Earthquake. If it did, this would be a terrible swap in. Yay, terrible Gen 2 movesets. You can see even Coughing is level 31. Like, I really went all out here. And now, against the Magnemites, it doesn't matter. They can't do anything to a ground Pokemon. It sucks that so much more time goes into leveling up just in case than the battle itself, but hey, at least you get to watch that seemingly really easy battle. But truth be told, the first 7 gym leaders typically are pretty easy. After we finish with the Team Rocket section, Claire can be pretty difficult. I mean, with the 2 Nidos and Ice Punch, it should be easier. With that said, Kindra does have Surf, which is super effective against them. This is going to be difficult, although I do have Tentacruel. We're going to have to try and come up with a really good strategy. 2 hours later. Okay, this time it actually was 1 hour, but, you know, we've been doubling the time, exaggerating. I'm going to go for Ice Punch. I outspeed in one shot. The crit may have mattered. Not sure. Yeah, it did. This is the Ice Beam one. Of course it is. But we can knock it out with Headbutt. Now out comes Kingdra. So we talked about Tentacruel. We're going to use it. Very specially defensive. And now I'm actually going to swap into Wheezing. It goes for Smokescreen. You might be wondering why I'm swapping in Wheezing. All right, we're going to do it again. It's going to go for it. No, come on. It's going to do it. I promise you. All right, stop going for Smokescreen. Just do what I know you're going to do. There you go, Hyper Beam. Wheezing is very physically bulky and actually hits pretty hard. So now we can go and just sort of swap in and out. And I don't really care. Oh, well, actually, now we can't with that Dragon Breath. That complicates things. Crobat, help out. Okay. And then I can go Wing Attack. Smokescreen is fine. Hyper Potion. That's not good. Things have gone awry. Surf. I don't want Tentacruel to faint. Don't go for Hyper Beam. Okay, Surf is good. And we have the Gold Berry. Those are hard to find, by the way. I do have Icy Wind. Smokescreen's good. Yeah! There we go. Okay. Now all we have left is Dragonair, and this isn't going to be too big a deal. 2 Icy Winds will finish it off. It is the Thunderbolt one, but if, okay, I miss again, I can just swap into Nidoqueen. This should be fine. And things almost went off the rails. We didn't lose any Pokemon. You know what? I probably should have used Wheezing a little bit more aggressively. That Sludge Bomb was pretty good. This is one of those instances where I had a plan in mind and then it didn't work. And at the end of the day, I'm just going to take that victory. But I'm painfully aware that this feeling of happiness is short-lived. Because arguably, in some ways, the most difficult trainer in the entire game for a Poison-type Nuzlocke is coming up next. Will. Will's Pokemon all have Psychic, I think. And I'm a Poison type. There are no Dark Poison types until Gen 4. It would be like 20 years before there'd be a Poison Psychic Pokemon, so I'm going to have to knock out Will's Pokemon before they have a chance to attack me. That means a ton of leveling up and really trying to pick the perfect team, not just for Will, but to make sure that once we get past him, we can get past the rest of the Elite Four, because, as you know, any Pokemon I lose on the way, that means one less Pokemon for the rest of the gauntlet. So much longer that the old narrator went to Britain, got a terrible British accent, he was made fun of for a terrible British accent, how insensitive, came back to Canada, found that his old house was in complete disrepair, it was a whole mess. Anyway, it took an hour and a half, but we're finally ready to battle Will. Nidoking is the lead, Shadow Ball is the move, we get the outspeed, we knock out. The level cap, 47. That's Houndoom's level, that's how it works. Jinx is next, we outspeed it again. This is good. All this leveling up, it really helped. Slowbro is going to be a 2-shot, but that's okay. 2 Shadow Balls. I have more than enough power points. And our Nidoking, I leveled it up enough and battled enough Pokemon to not one-shot the Executor, but that's okay. It went for Reflect, and that could have been scary, but the outspeeds were huge. When I leveled up Nidoking, I didn't just battle the highest level Pokemon. I tried to battle Pokemon that were fast. I wanted to get it to outspeed, and in the end, I did. Now, truth be told, I do know exactly how fast each of Will's Pokemon are, so I can make sure Nidoking outsped them, but yeah, pretty good. Koga's not as scary. For Ariados, I'm going to lead with Crobat. It's good to see this Crobat's really stuck with us. Against Venomoth, I go for Wing Attack, and the one-shot was pretty nice. Now, Fortress won't be a one-shot, but Haunter can kind of help here in case it goes for Explosion. I'm just going to go for Nightshade. There's really very little Fortress can do to Haunter, but if I put it to sleep, I can get rid of it a little quicker. In the end, it's just not cooperating, so I'll let Haunter knock it out eventually. And there we go. Now we have Muck. I'm going to put Muck to sleep. Not much it can do to Haunter, but call me A Rose 11, A for Agatha, because I'm using a Hypnosis Dream Eater Haunter. Nice to finally get to use one of those myself. We level up, but we're still one level under the cap. Now, Crobat's not the greatest. Oh, God, I didn't know it had a full restore there. Or like I knew, but I didn't think it would use it right there. At this point, I don't really know what I need to do. I'm going to go into Nidoqueen. It's a bit of a bulkier Nido, and it's still a 2-shot. So, I had to adjust the plan a little bit. Thought Haunter could finish off Crobat. To be fair, I kind of was winging it there. This is the first time I made it, and As much as I love to plan, sometimes I just kind of assume things are going to go better than they are, but they're going pretty well. I mean, we've barely been hit. We can switch out Spell Tag, which we use versus Will for Soft Sand. Nidoking is stronger physical attack, so we're using it as more of a physical attacker, and then Nidoqueen is more of a special attacker, but they're both really good. Now out comes Bruno. Bruno's Pokemon like to use Dig, so here's what I'm going to do. Oh, well, it didn't go Dig there, but now it did. So I go for Earthquake, it doubles Dig's power, and it can hit underground. Hitmonchan, I don't want Ice Punch, so I'm going to go into Crobat, and I mean, okay, well, that did nothing. And now out comes Onix. Onix is not going to go for Earthquake here because I'm a flying type. And that means I get a free swap into Tentacruel if I want, and I'm going to do that. I expected Sandstorm. We don't get the special defense boost until Gen 4, so that's good, or at least they don't, I should say. Now against Hitmonlee, I'm going to go into Haunter. I do not believe Hitmonlee can actually hit Haunter, so we can Agatha it up and go for Hypnosis and Dream Eater. Just kidding, I'm going to go for Nightshade. Haha! I'm so unpredictable. Machamp does have Rock Slide. However, what can it really do to Nidoqueen? It goes for actually Foresight, which is pretty funny. And now I just go for Strength. This is probably the wrong play because it's going to heal. It's going to take a while, but I went for the safer, bulkier. Okay. Maybe it wasn't so safe. Anyway, we're going to put it to sleep and go for Dream Eater. And yeah, that's what I should have done. Okay, well, that would have been terrible if we lost Nidoqueen, but good news, even though, yes, higher crit chance cross chop, and I thought Nidoqueen was bulky. My bad. The more opportunities you give a Pokemon to hit you, the more bad things that can happen. So, I'll learn. Now we have to prepare for one of the worst trainers in terms of RNG or luck, Karen. In a full team run, it's not so bad, but I really just have to make sure I'm not put in an awkward situation where I have a bad matchup against Houndoom. So, to that end, I lead with Nidoqueen. I go for Double Kick, and it's going to be a 3-shot. Sand Attack actually fails. I try to go for Ice Punch to manipulate its HP, but once it confuses me, I'm going to swap into Crobat. Feint Attack is fine. Crobat's actually a little bulkier than you think. Once confused, I'm going to swap into Nidoking. Feint Attack is fine, and I'm going to go for Earthquake. Now, out's going to come Vileplume. This is actually really fine. I'm going to go for Ice Punch. Stun Spore is not ideal, so I'm actually going to swap into Crobat here. Went for Moonlight. Wing Attack doesn't knock it out, so I am once again paralyzed. It's really bad, but hey, only 3 left. Gengar goes for Curse, I go for Wing Attack, and I don't knock it out, which is annoying. Then I'm fully paralyzed, and I don't want this to happen. So I gotta go into Nidoking. It's gonna either go for Curse or Lick. It went for Lick, so that's fine. Weezing's at 47. But don't forget, this is Karen, and nothing is about to hit level 48, so we're fine. Against Murkrow, I keep Nidoking in, even though I'm paralyzed, because Ice Punch I thought was going to one-shot. It does, but now out comes Houndoom, and I really think Tentacruel is the right play. Flamethrower, the burn sucks, but I actually outspeed, and Surf knocks it out. And so I have a bunch of Pokemon at the level cap, or should I say the former level cap. None have fainted so far. And I even use an XP share, if you noticed. That was part of the way I made sure nothing over-leveled, and I could use whatever I wanted. And now all we need to do is handle Lance. Lance has some weird AI quirks. Also, I have some rare candies, by the way, which I can use, and I will, in order to make sure that the Pokemon I most want to battle Lance is going to be level 50. So far, everything's gone great, but it can all come crashing down. Let's hope it doesn't. So Lance leads with Gyarados, and I'm going to go for Thunder Punch. It doesn't one-shot, but Gyarados always goes for Rain Dance. Now out comes one of the Dragonites. Now I don't know this for a fact, but I believe the AI is going to force Lance to switch it into the Blizzard one, which is why I go into Tentacruel, and it is the Blizzard one. Of course, I freeze. Then it goes for Hyper Beam, and I actually thaw, but that was really bad. I go into Nidoking, it has to recharge, and then Ice Punch, ooh, it knocks it out. Okay, that's really good. That means I'm going to outspeed and knock out the next Dragonite. That's why Nidoking is level 50. Aerodactyl actually doesn't have a good matchup against me. If it got an Ancient Power boost, that would have been really bad, but it didn't. Very good. And Hyper Beam, if it crit, that would have been bad, but it didn't. Very good. Now, Charizard, remember, it can go for Wing Attack, so I don't want to go into Tentacruel here. I need to think about what to do. Remember, I still have red to deal with. I swap into Weezing, it goes for Flamethrower, and I decide I'm going to go for Explosion, just try to knock it out here. Unfortunately, it does not tank it. Now I go into Crobat, I'm going to confuse Charizard, and then just go for Wing Attack. It hits itself in Confusion once, Wing Attack hits itself in Confusion again. I go for Fly, and then of course Fly misses, but a Wing Attack will knock it out. And now there's just one more Dragonite to go. I need to decide who to swap into here. I go into Nidoqueen, it goes for Outrage, I go for Ice Punch, and I outspeed. So unless Outrage crits, we have made it through with just one loss. Weezing. And I really wasn't using that Weezing too much anyway. Would I have preferred not to have lost Weezing for no reason? Yeah, I would have preferred. But it did its job, it allowed me a free swap in, so everything's going well so far. But like I said a little bit earlier, this is when a Pokemon Crystal Nuzlocke gets completely turned on its head. Because Janine's Pokemon are super low level, meaning all these amazing Pokemon we just used to beat Lance, none of those are eligible to be used versus Janine, and so I'm going to have to come up with a whole new team. Well, right now I only have 3 Pokemon, and they're not even properly leveled, but Venomoth is probably good enough to beat this Sailor guy. I mean, Venomoth's a pretty good Pokemon. I really like Venomoth, and I'm probably going to be using it versus Janine. Something very tedious about these Nuzlocks is I also have to worry about these Pokemon and leveling them up, and these are the Pokemon that when I get some crazy high fainted counts, it tends to be the Kanto team. Once I get the Johto guys back in here, things should be fine. But trying to come up with a whole new team just to use them against like 4 or 5 gym leaders, it's definitely really tedious. Interesting, it's fun to look back on, but doing it is very time consuming. And at this point, I do have to level up Venomoth. I mean, it's a pretty good Pokemon. It shouldn't... Oh. Well, that sucks. So there goes what I was going to use versus Janine. I can't tell you how many Nuzlocks I've lost at this point. Not this literal trainer, but at the point where I'm trying to build my new Kanto team and I'm a little too aggressive. Maybe I should have leveled it up. Maybe I should have used the Psychic TM. And now I'm stuck with a suboptimal team. I mean, I have an Arbok. I have that Beedrill from before, but I wasn't really planning to use any of them. And it just sucks, man. But you know what? Let's be careful. Just training against wild Pokemon. I'll train this Grimer. It's pretty good. I mean, you know, Grimer is a fairly bulky Pokemon. Want to get it to Muck. Oh. Well, there goes the Grimer. So I've been at this for over an hour, and finally I'm battling Janine. I only have 3 Pokemon to use. One of them is Arbok. I mean, I caught this thing way back when. Another one I caught in Kanto. The only one I actually caught in Kanto is Vileplume. Everything else didn't make it. And now I'm going to try to go for Glare on this Crobat. I mean, this is just such a terrible team for Janine. Just truly awful. I'm busy trying to use Protect and Return. Like, are we kidding here? And this thing keeps confusing me. So annoying. And you can see I have no plan. I'm just trying to figure it out. I wish this thing had Intimidate. Man, Gen 3 would be a lot easier. Finally, we knock out our first Pokemon. And then out comes Venomoth. Now, I'm pretty sure this thing has a Psychic move. I didn't even plan for this. Janine's usually so easy. Oh, Dire Hit. Beautiful. So it's going to get crits. I don't know. I guess just go for Return. Okay, Double Team. Maybe it doesn't. Oh, there's Psychic. I knew it existed. And it didn't get a crit. That's pretty good. I'll go into Beedrill because it's the most sacrificable. And it almost faints, but actually wins. That's pretty good. And then I use Protect because what the hell else am I going to do? All right, bye-bye, Beedrill. That's my 7th Pokemon. Unless the AI does something ridiculous we've lost, I'm just going to go for Protect, for Explosion, and I'm going to go for Dig. Okay, wait a minute. Sludge Bomb, Protect. Oh, it went for Explosion. I can't believe this. Wait. Now what do? I have to look up what this Ariados has, and then I got to make the right call. I'm going to go into Vileplume here. We are so close to getting out of this. I'm going to go for Moonlight. Scary Face is fine, so now we're at full HP. And I'm just going to go for Return. It's only level 33. And although it gets close, with 7 fainted overall, 3 in Kanto. We have at least gotten 1 Kanto gym badge. After everything I did in Johto, this is infuriating. Somehow, Vileplume and Arbok have been able to beat all the mandatory trainers needed to get to Brock, which you'll know there's a lot of them. And I still have the Vileplume. I'm going to go Sleep Powder, Sunny Day, and Solar Beam. Again, I leveled it up too early to use anything better, but Sunny Day Solar Beam, it lasts for 5 turns. So we'll be able to knock out almost everything before we have to use Sunny Day again. Unfortunately, Kabutops outspeeds us, which kind of sucks. And we hit the level cap. It was Onix, by the way, that's Brock's ace. That's level 44. In case you're wondering where the 44 comes from. We're not going to be able to use Johto Pokemon for a little while. Omastar does not have an ice move, so Vileplume does what it needs to do. And now, finally, since the level cap is level 46, and I kept most of my Pokemon from Johto under level 47, we are able to add Haunter, Crobat, and even Nidoqueen to our team. And that's going to be useful because the next gym leaders we have to fight are Erica. She'd be pretty easy. But Lieutenant Surge would be difficult without Nidoqueen. I'm still going to lead with Vileplume because, well, Vileplume is the most sacrificable and it has the ability to put things to sleep. I get paralyzed via Thunder, and I'm missing a lot, which is annoying. But now that it's asleep, I can go for Return. Again, Vileplume is the one I most can part with. That said, Electabuzz only has electric attacks that are useful. So even though Nidoqueen doesn't have a ground attack that's useful, we can just keep it in here. It's just going to take a while, but it has the leftovers. It's going to work. Thank goodness there are 2 leftovers in Crystal version. Now, Electrode also doesn't have anything super great, although it can use Explosion, so I go into Haunter. It goes for Double Team. Thought I'd try that again. I go for Curse, just kind of seeing what it's going to do. And now I'm a little nervous, so I'm going to go into Crobat. Now I'm going to play this really risky and go into Haunter expecting Explosion. No, I get Screech. I'm going to try to put it to sleep at this point. That didn't work. Actually, whatever. This Electrode's not going to attack me at all. Okay, Electrode number 2. I should be careful here. Just put it to sleep. Go for Dream Eater. Try to get some health back. I mean, these things won't attack me. It takes me a while to finally hit it. And now we should be good. Nightshade knocks it out. And there's only 1 more Pokemon left. Unfortunately, we cannot use Haunter. It's now at level 47, so that means we won't be able to use it for Erica. I have to use Double Kick versus Magneton because I don't have a fire or ground move, but although it takes a while, Nidoqueen does the job, and that is Lieutenant Surge. I was a little worried about him. I'm not very worried about Erica. Once again, I'm going to lead with Vileplume because, well, you can see just how seriously I'm taking this battle. Unfortunately, it goes for Bind, so I can't swap out if I wanted to. I don't have Sludge Bomb on this thing, which would be nice. Truth be told, I kind of regret this, and now I'm just going to speed ahead. Vileplume eventually takes out Tangela. There's nothing these Pokemon can really do to Vileplume, but I'm sick and tired of this taking forever. I'll swap into Arbok here, and now back into Vileplume. I mean, why the heck not? But alright, why won't you just switch into Crobat and end this? Well, I'm going to, and you'll see Crobat's very close to leveling up. It's annoying, but in order to keep Crobat in play, I need to use everything and split the experience 3 ways. And even still, it may not be possible. So that's why I prefer not to have to use Crobat at all. Although at this point, it doesn't really matter since it's already been out there. I get a pretty clutch hit against Blossom, and I get the best news that Crobat just misses level up, meaning I can swap it into Jump Bluff, and thus I don't have to wait nearly as long. For the record, there was the experience share. I was trying to limit experience as much as possible, but now we get 1 more level to work with, and all our level 47 Pokemon can take on Misty. Now, of course, this is where we do want to use Vileplume, and it's still level 46. We get hit with Psychic, and the lefty's recovery really helps. 24 HP, Solar Beam knocks out Golduck. I mean, listen, it's not a very fast Pokemon. I do have Giga Drain, I probably should have taught it, but I'm able to knock out Quagsire. Lapras, unfortunately, I won't be able to do that, so I'm gonna have to swap into Tentacruel. And oh, what's that? I did teach it to Tentacruel, because now Tentacruel actually has some coverage versus water Pokemon, making it the ultimate anti-water weapon. But seriously, It's going to be so good versus Blastoise because it's so bulky special defensively. And now it's going to have a powerful Giga Drain move in order to restore its HP. I mean, what more could I ask for, really? Maybe an easier next gym leader, as Sabrina is another Psychic type trainer. Now, I thought I made it so that Nidoqueen would outspeed Espeon, but then Sand Attack misses, which is good, but you can see my eyes that I messed up somewhere. Why is Nidoqueen not outspeeding? Turns out it was a speed tie. I messed up. And it does outspeed Mr. Mime, but Reflect is not Gen 1 Reflect. So now Alakazam is going to have higher physical defense. It goes for Psychic. I was not crit proof and I knew it. I'm actually going to sacrifice Nidoqueen. Can you believe that? We're going to sacrifice Nidoqueen, but we had to do it in order to get Tentacruel, which does outspeed and uses a special attack. Nidoqueen has been so great, but with Nidoking coming back, now that we've hit level 50, its role was going to get filled, and I just didn't see a better way to get by Sabrina was to give Nidoqueen its Majin Vegeta moment. Although in this battle, it actually helped progress the story forward, so that's cool. We've seen glimpses of how good Tentacruel is, but like, it's just so cool. I do need to teach it a fourth move, I will, but man, Tentacruel is just such an overpowered Pokemon, an early Pokemon. It's not even level 50, it's just so good. And slow level up group, it annoys me when I have to train it, but man, is it useful when I don't want it to level up. And now all we have left is Blue. And the problem with Blue, well, the good news is we're going to get to level up quite a bit. The problem is we have to level up quite a bit. So it's going to take a little while. And what's a little while? 2 hours of battling the Elite Four over and over again, and I didn't lose any Pokemon. But now we got to clutch it out. You'll notice with Nidoking, I have given it the Move Tutor moves exclusive to Crystal, so it has now Thunderbolt and Ice Beam. Still not strong enough to one-shot Pidgeot, but two-shot is fine. Alakazam comes out next, and I go for Shadow Ball. Unfortunately, despite what I thought, I don't actually tank the Psychic. Is this going to be what ends up costing me the entire run? My chat certainly thought so. We were getting some GGs and RIPs in chat. L's. But Crobat, well, it didn't really do all that much. So now I gotta go into Haunter. And it does have Psychic, and it does outspeed, but this feels like a so-called Pyrrhic victory. By the way, this thing's gonna go for Earthquake. Yeah. Oh, great. So now I don't have a counter to the Snorlax. Great. And this is kind of how all Nuzlocks just end up sometimes. Something goes wrong. Oh, Hyper Beam. Oh, wow. You're bulkier than I thought. Sorry, I guess I have to focus on this battle, but does it really matter? I mean, we've lost everything. All the Pokemon I plan to use versus Red, I can't use them anymore. There's nothing for Pikachu, nothing for Snorlax. I mean, I seriously don't know, and we're going to lose Arbok here probably. Yeah, okay, so we have just Vileplume and Tentacruel, and I mean, Tentacruel is going to beat Arcanine. This is so irritating. And then Executor, I think it has to go for Solar Beam. I have Ice Beam on it. Oh, it went for Sunny Day. All right, we win, but like, at what cost? Okay, we haven't won yet. Can we win now? Because, you know, all right, we win, but at what cost? We can go all the way up to level 81, but I have all of 2 Pokemon to work with. Vileplume, which I said was expendable because I wasn't going to use it. Now we are definitely going to use it. And Tentacruel, who I've said is really good. So, you know, that's nice. But, I mean, it's just so brutal, man. It's so brutal. And unfortunately, we are out of poison Pokemon. It is literally up to a Vileplume I really only wanted to use for Kanto. And really cool Tentacruel, but a Tentacruel. Now, I can spend hours and hours and level them up to level 81, and I'm going to have to. I mean, truth is, if you think about it, if I do level them up to 81, it's similar to my solo runs. I'm used to using single Pokemon and figuring out ways to mitigate their weaknesses. But Red's a lot tougher than Red and Blue. Are these 2 Pokemon going to actually be able to do it? Or is this one of the videos where I post a failure, maybe just to make the point of why I don't do Nuzlocks anymore? Let's find out. So Red's going to lead with his ace, Pikachu, and I'm going to lead with Vileplume. I'm just going to go for Sleep Powder, I'm going to set up Sunny Day. Red full restores, that's fine. And then I'm going to put it back to sleep and go for Solar Beam. Knock it out. Now I know. Oh, I thought it would be Charizard, but it's Espeon. Okay, I didn't know. I hopefully tank this. Okay, I just tank it, and there's a very clutch sleep. I'm going to just go for Solar Beam. Oh, wow, that actually did more than I thought it would. And you know what? I'm going to go for... Oh, no, it stayed asleep. I meant to go for Return. Okay, that would have been a really bad misclick. Okay, Snorlax, I'm going to try to put it to sleep. Okay, that's good. All right, I have a little hope here. Go for Sunny Day. How much is Solar Beam going to do? It's not bad. It's not bad. In fact, if I go for Return, I might... Oh, okay. I was trying to manipulate HP, but I got a crit. All right, wait. Okay, wait. I think this is a good matchup. I can put it to sleep. That's right. Sleep Powder affects grass Pokemon. Ooh, that did nothing. Right, but I've been hit with Charm. So I'm going to go to Tentacruel. I have other Pokemon for HM purposes. Don't worry about them. Ice Beam. Oh my God. Okay, wait. And this was the matchup. This was the one I was talking about. Wait. This is the Giga Drain matchup. I think I just won. Wait, there's Charizard. Wait. Now I won. Forgot about Charizard. Okay, well, that's crazy. We did it with just 2 Pokemon, and they both played integral roles. I guess it goes to show you that poison Pokemon really are amazing at Generation 2. Even with a ton of mess-ups, some bad luck, miscalculations, 12 fainted, I still managed to clutch this one out. I do hope you enjoyed the video and my foray into Nuzlocke. Unfortunately, I don't have any more completed Nuzlocke to show you. This was very irritating, and they take about 13 hours with speed up. I do prefer the other challenges I do, but maybe one day I'll come back to them. Anyway, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Take care.